So what we talked about earlier today was the Airlander. That was how we started our discussion. And I will quickly read for you the Airlander. The Airlander is a new aircraft. It is like an airship. It is also like a plane. It is also like a helicopter. It is really big. It is as long as a football pitch. It is as tall as 6 double-decker buses. It is the biggest aircraft in the world. A company in England makes the Airlander. It says that it is very good. It says that it is like a big aeroplane. It can carry a lot of things. It is very quiet. It is also eco-friendly. The company has a plan. It wants to build 12 Airlanders every year. The difficult words in this article are aircraft, something that flies, airship, a big aircraft with gas like helium or hydrogen, eco-friendly, good for the planet. Now, Bernard, we're going to talk about, if you remember, we talked about how technology is making a difference in our lives. So here's my question again. Did you ever think that you would be able to speak with someone in the United States from your home without having to get on a plane or drive or ride a cruise or something? Did you ever imagine that? So let's talk about that for a moment.
Yes, I couldn't imagine that. It was not really impossible. It was impossible to think about it 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But today, nowadays, when we saw all the progress of the science, we could imagine a lot of differences who never exist today and will exist in the future.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about what exists today and what might exist in the future, we talked about the shortage of pilots in another session. And in that session, I thought that the pilots were not paid enough. And if we increase the salaries of the pilots, we might get more pilots. However, as I listened to the article today, it talks about this huge Airlander that's as tall as 6 double-decker buses. Something of that magnitude would suggest many people might be able to fly at one time, which would reduce the price of a flight. But with technology being as it is, maybe people will not even need to leave their homes. We talked a little bit about goggles. So tell me what you think or what you remember about how the goggles that you could put over your eyes may make a difference in travel.
Uh, with the new technology, we can imagine that in the future, with a simple, complicated pair of glasses from Google,
Goggles. They would be goggles.
got
Goggles. These are huge glasses.
huge glasses,
Mm-hmm.
we can visit all the world without leaving our chair or our home.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a virtual knowledge of all the worlds. We can have the sensation of touch someone which is very far from from us. We could have the sensation to see new scenery. We may even have the sensation to swim in her room
Mm-hmm.
without without swimming pool.
Ex-
It's a new world.
exactly. And I like the phrase, it's a new world, because as you're describing this new sensation, we are experiencing swimming, and we're not even sitting in a swimming pool or sitting in the ocean. We were just sitting in a chair with some huge goggles on, similar to what deep sea divers might wear. But we get the sensation of being in this particular place. I would imagine if you had this new device that has not arrived on this technology scene yet, if you had this new device, you may would have chosen a different place to go on vacation. I'm not sure. What do you think? Can you comment on that? If you had something that would have told you what your experience would have been, would you have gone on the vacation that you and your family chose?
If if I had the Google to
God,
see
those 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 are called goggles.
God,
Goggles.
if I had if I have goggles to see the place where I intend to go on vacation, and if the place is not as good as I imagine,
Mm-hmm.
of course I won't go with my family to this location.
Okay. Now, in the future, do you think that this is going to be something that would be expensive or something inexpensive? The goggles. Do you think that they should be expensive or inexpensive?
I'm, I think it will be inexpensive because goggles would like to sell a lot of devices.
Mm-hmm.
So surely the price will going very down.
Okay, so the price would be reduced, or the price would
Yes,
it may
yes,
start out being very expensive,
yes.
but the prices might go down as time goes on. Interesting.
But it's a bit afraid the future you
Mhm.
describe.
What impact do you think that this technology is having on people's lives? Do you think it's having a positive impact? For example, with the cell phones, do you think people are as close to each other as they used to be when they didn't have the immediacy of the cell phone?
Oh, I am not sure that all the progress of the science are good for the people.
Can you tell
The
me
cell
why?
phone, the cell phones are very interesting to communicate, to be close from your friend. But if you see the teenagers today,
Mm-hmm.
when you are around the table to eat, everyone, every teenager is on his cell phone, and nobody speak to his neighbor.
Okay. If no one is speaking to their neighbor, when there weren't telephones that were cell phones, for example, and maybe in the day when people rode their horses to visit their neighbor or they walked to visit their neighbor, they didn't have as many neighbors. Today, everyone can be your neighbor because of the cell phones. I could consider you my neighbor and I can talk to you. So, does it have an advantage that you can interact with more people than you could, say, 100 years ago? Isn't it better to be able to be in contact with more people or no?
I think you're right. It's better to be in contact with a lot of people to understand well the entire world, to be more clever, more informed than many years ago.
Hmm.
Surely it's a progress, but at the same time, we could imagine that the positive progress of the science are good, but other progress of the science could be very dangerous for the future of the planet. I think about nuclear power. I think about yes, nuclear power, for example.
Hmm. Well, I think with the speed at which technology can create things of destruction, of mass destruction, that would be cause for concern. And it is the technology that makes things good or it makes things bad. So, what one could say is that it's a trade off. If you want this, you're going to have to give up something else. In terms of our article for today, the aircraft, we know that when a plane is down for some reason, malfunction, people do die. So, in the event of a malfunction of this huge Airlander, more people most likely will be injured and lives lost. If we remain with the smaller aircraft, the plane still may experience difficulty, but as many lives would not be lost. Do you have thoughts about that?
No.
Okay.
What's interesting about our discussion, I, it's very interesting that you record this lesson because I need to listen it many times to understand everything you told me.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
this is amazing also because this replaces the textbook. This makes it more of an authentic lesson, a real-time lesson that you can learn about something that is really relevant at the moment that we're speaking. You can interact with me by voice and hear exactly what it is that I want to say. I can explain to you in real time things that you are asking me, and if they're not clear, then I can keep looking for ways to make it clear. Now, I'm going to go to a section which is even more exciting, and you will be able to see this on the recording when I talk about this thing, goggles, if it will open up for me, if I can get my internet provider to open. I'm going to bring in the image of goggles as we talked about being able to visit a place just sitting in our chair at home and having some device on our eyes. I'm trying now to get this open. Hopefully it will work.
Okay.
But because I have Skype open, I have the recorder open, and now I'm trying to open up yet another device. It may take me a minute. So now I'm going to go to image of goggles. Image of goggles.
It seems to me that you're very keen in new technology.
Well, that was what I majored in for my dissertation. So here are quite a few images of goggles. And I would say the most interesting one would be the larger ones, um, not just because of the fanciness of it, but this one would be the one that I would say would be the one that you might be able to put on your head and see things. So now I can just remove that. I don't want to save it and take that away. All right. Well, this takes us near the end of our session for today. I hope
Oh
that you
yes,
will enjoy.
it's a good session.
It was a good
It's a
session.
good session, but I need to listen, and listen again.
All right. All right. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then I'll come back to you. Just one second. Let me end the recording.